thanks to popular shows like Sex and the City and Desperate Housewives and The Office, the term frenemy has become a part of our vocabulary. What do you do with someone who smiles in your face 1 minute and then the next minute they're talking about you behind your back? Those are some of the things we're going to be talking about today on This Life.
Well, today we're talking about frenemies. Frenemies who are people that we know that kind of like us and kind of don't. And one of the things I saw this week that reminds me of this dynamic was this note on a refrigerator that said, "Dear so-and-so, I hate you, love so-and-so." So it was a partner. So I thought, well, that's kind of an ambivalent comment.
Well, something that I saw was, I heard about, actually I didn't see it, was a friend who said that their friend asked them all about a job opening, and once she heard all about it, she then went and applied for it. Wow. Not telling her friend that she was applying for the same job that the friend was also applying for.
Oh, dear.
So the friend that was talking to me said that she couldn't believe that a real friend would do this, that it felt more like an enemy.
Something I heard about also this week was a situation of a relationship between two people. They have a good time studying together, and they do well together when they study together. But one wants more time with the other, but when they talk outside of studying, they're tearing them down, talking about, oh, if you just dress this way, you'd be so much better, and I won't hang out with these kinds of people. And, you know, the person who was sharing that with me was really torn apart about that. You know, it's like, I love studying with this person because I do well, but man, that's all. That's it. It really is very costly.
Oh, yeah. You just said
it
costs so much when you have a friend that is also an enemy at times. But that's a lot of, I mean.
Can't really trust somebody like that.
Can't really trust.
Right.
Do you think the lines are clearly drawn between friends and enemies?
I don't think so. I think today when you talk about your coworkers and your classmates and people you jog with or run with, we use the word friend so loosely. Just we call people our friends. Nobody defines people as acquaintances and then these are my friends. We say, oh, this is my friend, this is my friend, this is my friend. So when they do things that are not very friendly, we're not really sure what to do with them. Do we now unfriend them? Well, that's what Facebook does. You can unfriend them. You know, Facebook is another place where we find that.
Isn't that difficult though? I can't unfriend someone. There have been people who have said they want to be friends. Never heard of them. I don't know their name.
Yes.
But I can't bring it to myself to say no. How do you say no?
I have friends who go through their role often
and unfriend.
Oh yes, they take them off. And they're like, well, if they don't miss me, they don't miss the fact that they're not even my friend, then we weren't that close in the first place.
But how will they know? I mean.
Well, you won't be able to see their pictures. So.
Well, I've got a little case we can work with here. Linda and Jennifer have been friends for years. They went to college together. They dated the same men, although not at the same time.
Well, that's a relief.
And they live in the same city. They are both happily married. They often talk on the phone or get together for a cup of tea. However, Linda feels that she makes more of an effort in the friendship than Jennifer, and that when they do talk, Jennifer is always giving her advice about how to live her life. In front of other people, Jennifer puts Linda down, making Linda feel that she is not up to par. When Linda tries to talk with Jennifer about this, Jennifer seems hurt that Linda would be offended by such, quote, small things. In reality, Jennifer feels some frustration too. They both seem a little on edge when around each other.
Boy, you know, when I hear something like that, I think it's not all about putting each other down in public. There's something much deeper, and I'm really curious to know what it is. And I wonder, when you were opening this segment, Dilys, I was wondering if it's true, and maybe you can both share about this, if it's true that if if that there might be something much deeper that drives these kind of ambivalent relationships, that sometimes you're on, sometimes you're off. What do you think?
I think we try so. I don't think we live in an age where everybody wants to be politically correct and wants to be nice to everyone because you don't know how that person may affect you later on when it comes to your career. I don't think people are as authentic about their feelings about each other or have lines that are drawn and say, well, if we're friends, this is what I mean by friendship. Do we agree that this is what we mean by friendship? What are the needs that you have for this friendship to work? We'll agree that we won't talk about each other behind, our backs. We don't spend the time to develop relationships around clear boundaries, I think. So I think listening to this story between the two friends, there may have been something that has happened in the past that never got resolved, never got forgiven, never got brought to the surface. But we just keep going through the motions of the relationship, neither being fully satisfied.
I wonder if people think, oh, this is an acquaintance and they're really fun and they're good in these kinds of settings, but they have no utility for me in these other settings. So it's really not worth the effort to try to clear out whatever it is that makes them sometimes on the good list and sometimes on the
Or
bad
sometimes
list.
you don't know. Maybe you have a good friend and you do a lot of things with them. And they have there are certain times when they irk you, but maybe you don't know why. So I think sometimes it does go deeper, but I don't think one is always aware of what that reason is. I'm not sure.
And that's interesting because that would take some reflection, wouldn't it? To say, well, why is it that when Carla moves her head to the left, that bothers me?
I'll look distracted.
I don't know that we often do the reflection to see, well, why is it in this situation, circumstance, that this bothers me so much to the point where I'm like, you know what, I'm done. Our time is up. I have stuff to do. I want to go. I want to move on to something else.
So you're saying sometimes we don't have the time.
Yes, we don't have the time.
I think sometimes it's too scary, too. Because maybe the friendship means so much to you that you're not willing to stop and say, whoa, why is this happening? You're afraid to question it.
Yes.
Afraid to ask why. And you think, don't you think sometimes you think tomorrow it'll get better? I'm sure she didn't mean that.
Yeah.
Don't make
Don't
waves.
shake it up. It's not that big of a deal.
It'll hurt her feelings.
I imagine that some of that stuff collects, and over a period of time, it has to go somewhere, and eventually you can't really stand the sight of the person if it doesn't get resolved.
And then a friendship of 20 years goes out the window, and neither
Or
of
it
you are
doesn't,
sure.
and either one is difficult.
Or it maintains, and you have a
Yeah.
frenemy. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you do.
And, well, actually, what do you think it does to us to have frenemies? People that are sometimes both sides of things, sometimes friends, sometimes enemies.
I try not to have any.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because it's exhausting.
Do you unfriend people?
I haven't unfriended anyone. I just think that people who, talk back, just make very negative statements about me to my face or behind my back, I minimize my exposure to them. I really do. I'm just like, you know what? I have enough stuff going on in my life right now. I can love you from a distance. If you need me, I'll be there to help you.
So you just don't bring them into the inner circle.
I just don't bring them into the circle. And if they were in the inner circle, I find a way to kind of gently move them to the outer circle.
But what if they didn't do the thing you think they did? In other words, what if you thought they said something about you, but they actually didn't? How would you go about testing that? Testing
I'll
out.
ask.
Oh, you ask them.
I ask.
That's simple.
And sometimes what I do is if someone says to me, for example, as we've done before in the show, if Barbara said, Carla said so and so, then I'd say to Barbara, "Are you sure that's what Carla said?" Because I'm gonna ask Carla, and Barbara's gonna make a decision
whether she wants to keep that.
Going or not. And if
I
she says
like
no,
that.
she really did say that, and I'm gonna come and confront you about it. I may not confront you, in your face.
So
but I'll wait some
if someone
time.
tells you something about someone, you say, "Are you sure that happened?"
Yes.
Because I'm going straight to that
I'm
person.
gonna ask them. Yeah. I think it nips everything in the
It
bud.
keeps everything clean,
Yeah.
doesn't
Yes.
it?
Yes,
Yeah.
it does. It does. And nobody gains from tearing someone else down. It's very toxic if you're spending all your time just nitpicking, And I think we talked about movies and shows that have made this whole frenemy thing very popular. I forget that one about the cheerleaders where they were just really negative, and
Mean Girls?
Mean Girls. people do that. I mean, this is an example, and they see it, and the media makes it seem like, oh, it's harmless. It's not harmless.
You know, I think a lot of teen girls do that, and a lot of preteen girls do that. That seems to be kind of the way that women are socialized. You can't be real direct. You have to keep people attached to you in some way, because if you say, you know what, you're hurting me, I don't like it, stop, or else I can't be around you. And so girls are taught not to do that. I'm not quite sure what younger boys do. Maybe they fight more, or it's just.
I'm struggling. I agree with you. I guess I'm struggling because sometimes you have frenemies in your family. You know, people that you can't. I'm not one that lets friends go very easily, and maybe I should more than I do, and I can take that. But it's hard. And then when you move into family, because you know your family sometimes does things that seem more enemy-like. Of course, not my family.
Never.
Certainly not.
No one that I know. But it happens, you
Yes.
know. And would you say the same, Dilys, to let them go out of the inner circle?
Well, you know, with the family, you didn't choose them. You know, this is you woke up, and when you came to yourself, and you go,
This
you're
is
my
who I
family,
have.
This is who I have.
Or a neighbor
Or
who
a
is
neighbor.
still a neighbor.
I think though, if you try to talk it out, you know, if you try to say, you know what, this relationship isn't working. You know, you're saying these things, I'm hearing that you're saying these things about me, and they hurt my feelings. And the person goes, well, I'm sorry, this is just who I am. Then you know. So then you now have to make some decisions about how easily hurt you're going to be when you hear that this person says things about you. And I think one of the things that refutes almost any gossip, negative gossip, is you be consistent. You know, when someone says, Dilys is a this, well, if that's not true, then you'll never catch me doing that. So over time, people will go, I thought you said Dilys was like this. I've never seen her do that. And that takes care of that, even in the family context. You know, you don't walk the script that they're writing out for you, or you don't respond to their barbs or to the negative things that they say to you after a while. Just, you know, that's how I deal
You know,
with
it
it.
strikes me too that we're in such an all or nothing society
Yeah.
that if you're my friend, I have to fully embrace you with all the secrets of my life and every emotion that I hold dear, and that just simply is not true. And I think there are degrees and areas that you trust with various people. I know that's how I am. That if I trust someone, I might trust them for these
You're right.
things in this narrow range. And it's very few people I trust with the whole range. And I think if we were to ask people about, you know, if you have an issue, who could you go and tell almost anything to? They might list one or two people. That's more typical. But I think we have to be careful with what we're calling friends, because
Right.
friends are a lot more acquaintances, and some acquaintances you can laugh with really readily, and you're always going to have a joke for that person. And so I think we become a little bit different with different people.
Right.
Have you found that?
Yes.
Yeah, I think the sad part, but I think it's human, is that almost every friend hurts you in some way or another. And how do you tell the difference between a friend who hurts for some reason, either conscious or unconscious, and a frenemy? What is that difference? Because I hear you saying, Dilys, that you don't want any frenemies in your life.
Yeah.
But would you agree that in many cases, friends hurt you in some
Absolutely.
way? So how do you tell the difference between a friend who might hurt you and a frenemy?
I think when in a relationship, you expose yourself. Over time, you let people know who you really are. You continue to trust them with who you are. And invariably, if you open yourself to people, they may or may not step on you. They may or may not hurt you. I don't have statistics to support it, but I don't think it's an intentional, I'm going to hurt you because I know this about you.
Oh, right.
Frenemies, though, are people who know that's your weakness, or they want to tear you down. You know, how can I?
I don't think so. I don't think there are people that always consciously do those things.
Really?
No.
Okay.
You
then I
don't think
guess
there's people that consciously
No,
tear down?
I don't think that always a frenemy is someone who consciously tears you down. I think a frenemy is someone, now I could have we might want to look at the definition.
Okay.
But isn't it someone who sometimes seems like an enemy?
Well, it says here.
Oh,
I have
good.
a little-
Here we go.
The definition, it says,
Okay.
It is a portmanteau of friend. So I guess it's a joining of two words together. And friend and enemy, which can refer to either an enemy disguised as a friend or to a partner who is simultaneously a competitor and a rival. So it's
So
someone.
it's both then, in a sense. It could
Yes.
be someone disguised, meaning they're consciously doing
Yes.
it. But that other one is it could be
A competitor
someone
and
who's
a
a
rival.
competitor and a rival
Yes.
who may not be consciously trying to hurt.
Well, see, you give them a lot of benefit of the doubt.
I
think,
do.
yeah,
I do.
I think if I'm going to give the moniker, the name to you as frenemy, you're out to get me. You're the person who is going to smile with me on my staff meetings.
A wolf
you know,
in
and
sheep's
and,
clothing.
first opportunity to kiss up to the boss, you're going to say, well, if I was in charge of doing that, it would be done by 5. Just there first, getting coffee for the boss or offering to pick up stuff, but still going, let's do lunch together. Let's hang out. Let's go. No, dude, I see you.
Oh, see, I see
Yeah.
that as a straight enemy. There's no friend about that.
See, I'm thinking that with a friend, friends can hurt, but friends have a commitment to your well-being.
Yes.
And they reiterate that. Then they will say, I see that I hurt you. That's not my intention. And they
Right.
try to adjust something.
Right.
Or they say, I don't know what to do about this because this is the way I'm
Right.
made and
Yeah,
I keep
right.
doing this. And so can we look
Okay.
at this together? But a frenemy is kind of in the shadows somewhere.
So it's more about motive.
It's about
Yes.
motive and commitment, I
Oh,
think.
okay. So a frenemy is someone whose motive, not from what you read, but
Right.
from what we're saying here, is someone whose motive is out to hurt. Okay.
Yes.
Well, let's look at some questions. This will clarify a
Alright.
little. This new term frenemies these are questions, email questions. This new term frenemies is being tossed around quite a bit. I notice it seems to happen mainly with women. Do men have frenemies?
I don't think men have frenemies. They are pretty forthright. None that I've come across anyway. They
Competitors and rivals? Oh,
But
we're
they
back
don't-
to the mean-spirited.
Yeah, but they don't. I don't sense that they'll settle it. Let's go settle on the basketball court. Let's go settle it. We're gonna hash it out, and then they're done. They don't have the same kinds of relationships I think as we do. But Barbara,
I am
her head.
shaking my head because I don't think it's always out in the open like that. And I think that we can't think too globally because there are men that I know that say, I really enjoy shooting hoops with somebody. But they're not going to sit and talk with them about anything in particular. And so
Correct.
they have maybe if you can picture like a target with concentric circles,
Circles,
maybe they're closer to some but not others. And I think men have this issue. But I think there's something specific about women, the way we're socialized, not to say jarring things and to
Yes.
always make nice. And therefore we don't say, what is your problem?
Right. Right.
What's the meaning of that?
Right.
I just take umbrage at that. And so
Right.
we don't find ourselves as women doing that very much because if we do, we're bad. We're
Right.
not supposed to be
Or
that
we're
way.
afraid that if we do, then we'll move a friend into an enemy. But
Yes.
we're terribly afraid of that.
Yeah.
Now here's another question. My daughter is a junior in high school and seemed to be doing really well. Recently, however, her best friend since kindergarten has been spreading vicious rumors about her, which has left my daughter in tears and isolated. It's affecting her schoolwork, attitude, even her faith. How do I help her?
Boy, that's a tough age.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of that, I think girls are trying to figure out, all of us when we're teenagers, we're trying to figure out who we are.
I
And
know.
we're so emotional and speaking for myself, so melancholy and, thinking about the meaning of life and all these things. And this is particularly devastating to feel like you can't trust somebody.
It's not just a friend, it's her best friend.
Her best
this
friend.
Is not.
It's like a sister if
Oh,
you've been
yeah.
friends that long.
And then there's that question as a mother, do you move in and try to help or back off and let your daughter build her own resources?
One of my thoughts is this too, that I think some friendships die a natural death, don't you? I mean, some friends you grow up with, you're happy to see them at alumni weekend for home,
Yes.
and they were your best friends. I mean, I'm thinking of a little boy that I proposed to when I was 4 years old.
Wow.
I wouldn't recognize him on the street. He wouldn't be someone I'd say, that's my friend, but he's certainly an acquaintance and I have warm feelings for him. So I think some friendships kind of come into bloom and they go with our development and then they kind of disappear. And I
Well,
wonder if she started out as a good friend, but maybe she's influencing in a bad way. I mean, sometimes moms say, well, let's just wait and see how things go. And
I think it's particularly difficult though when she's spreading vicious rumors.
Well, it
We don't know
is.
what the rumors are, but
I think I'd say to this mom, you be the first line of defense. Her daughter should know, you can come home and tell me what's going on. And then her mom, one of her responsibilities is to refute whatever the rumors are. Whatever is being said, her mom can champion her and say, well, honey, we know those things aren't true. But how does she manage this fall from grace with her friends? Because here's one of those life lessons. If people are believing this stuff, if people are now taking sides, then honey, here's your first hard lesson in life.
well, let's say she goes to her daughter and encourages her daughter to go to the friend. And then her daughter says, well, help me know what to say. What would you say to that? What would you tell her to say to her friend?
Well, I heard that you have said X, Y, and now me say, Barbara told me you said, and Carla said you said, and they were both together
And
when
let's say
you
the
said
friend,
it.
I'll be the friend.
Yes.
I never said that. I would never say that about you.
it was Barbara that said it.
What would you
Oh,
tell
my
her to do
goodness.
if her friend, which she probably will do this, if her friend absolutely denied?
Well, I would say to her, you know what? Whether you deny it, the rumor is out there. I'm hearing it from more than one person, and I'm asking you to stop. It's hurtful, and I'm asking you to stop. And if it continues, our relationship can't be the same. There's no way we can continue to be this way if I don't know that you're my friend, that you're look out for me and speak
I
up for
see.
me.
So you'll encourage her to tell her friend what the fallout would be.
Yeah.
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 That's good. I think this is such a tough thing because
Oh, yeah.
girls' self-esteem starts going down when they get to be teenagers. Boys go up and girls go down at that age, and if she makes two big waves, then there could be fallout from that, and they could make even worse rumors about her being
Right.
a nerdette or
Whoever it is.
A
right.
nerdette?
a nerdette.
I've never
or somebody
That's over.
somebody else. I mean, that's my word, but really bad. And I would hate to have something like that happen. I wonder if the mom can slowly start introducing to her to other
Other
activities where
activities.
she can get positive reinforcement,
Yes.
where she can excel in something else that's not involved with those girls, so that she would have something to balance that out with, because that sounds really hard.
I would just say a word about her faith, that there's really no connection between what her friend is saying and where her position with God is, and to try to keep those
Two separate things.
completely separate. And that it isn't God allowing this to happen to her. In other words, God wouldn't want this kind of activity.
Absolutely.
There's actually a passage in Scripture, too, that talks about someone who was very close to me who
Yes.
turned against me, which I think could be helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is wrong with having frenemies? That's another question.
Well, and that's interesting, Barbara, that you would read this, or whoever sent this in, because like Dilys, you said you don't have frenemies. I would say I do, meaning that because I'm unwilling to let friends go, I have some friends that will sometimes hurt me. And I have to think about that question. Why? I think how I answer that is that I don't know. It's the history. The history is so important to me. I think I wouldn't push it to go away. I might not let them in an inner circle.
Okay.
So I do see that.
Right.
But I would still have to say that I have them. They're a little bit more distant from me, but they're there.
I was going to say I would maintain a cordial relationship, but I might not share those deep
Yeah.
things that make me feel particularly vulnerable.
Right. So I guess our answer to this is, what's wrong with having frenemies? Nothing if you have the energy to take it.
Well, and I guess that's the thing too, because how much energy does it take to continually?
lot.
It is exhausting.
it is
if you're walking on
exhausting.
eggshells, trying not to say the wrong thing, or
Yep.
or you say, if I say this, I know it's going to be out there.
Yes.
People are going to hear.
Yes.
It's not good.
So, how do you move a frenemy into being a friend, or letting the friendship go? That's another question.
I actually think you answered that, and answered it well, Dilys. I liked what you said, where you go to them, you say what you see and what you feel. And I think sometimes you don't tell them what if you don't say, okay, now that you've done that, you're going to the back row.
You're on the outer
You-
circle.
Right.
But I think if you do explain what you've seen, it will make sense when you stop calling. I think what's hurtful is if you just stop.
Right.
And they haven't got a clue
Right.
what's going on. Another one, are young people the only ones who have frenemies, or do older people have them as well? Oh,
No, we all have them.
I've heard stories about neighbors who have come and cut down a person's hedge. That it was actually on their
Yes.
property, but the neighbor wanted it shorter or taller, or whatever. So I think everyone has frenemies.
Age range, yes.
I have a friend who is often mean to me. I don't know if he realizes it or not, but his constant undermining makes me wonder if our friendship is worthwhile. Boy, we hear that all the time, too. Is it worthwhile? Again, I think your idea about having a sense of history with that person, and, even to sit down and say, what are the pros of this and what are the cons of keeping them in that inner circle?
Well, and I remember saying to a friend once that something felt mean to me, and they said, "Really? I did not mean for that to be." And then I realized it was my own sensitivity,
Right.
not them trying to be mean. So that means that I need to change. They don't necessarily need to change. And it was actually a good exercise for me, because it built, kind of made me stronger to think.
That's a good point, because
yeah.
we do, if we do bring it up to the open with people that we do want to maintain friendships with, then we do learn a lot about ourselves, because
Absolutely.
we can't see.
The
can't
bottom
see
line is you
everything.
have to speak up.
You
I
have
think
to
at
speak
some
up.
point you have to say, I'm not crazy. It's my favorite lines. I know I'm not crazy. So when you said that, what did that mean? This is how
Yeah.
I interpreted
Yeah.
it. Is that what you meant to say? Because people have done that to me. People have come to me and said to me, Dilys, when you did X, Y, and Z, when you said X, Y, and Z, you really hurt my feelings. And I'll go, I am so sorry. That was
Yes.
not my intention.
Oh, isn't that wonderful that
It
it's out
is.
there
Oh,
that
yes.
open?
And I'm like, I'm glad,
Yeah.
I'm happy you
Yes.
told me, because it is never we don't get up every day and go, let's see how many mean points we can make today. Let's see how many people we can hurt today. That's not what we do.
But I don't think anyone does that.
Well,
I do.
Oh, you think they do? Okay.
I know some people that do
yeah,
that.
yeah. But it's good when you're able, and I try to tell people, because of my temperament and personality, I may do things that hurt you. Please tell me. If you misunderstand something that I've said to you, please tell me, because that's the only way that I can let you know if you were on the right track, or if I can say I'm sorry, because it is my blessing
gives
to
you a
say
chance.
I'm sorry. That was not my
Yeah.
intention.
Right. Right.
Our friendships are so important to us, and we've been talking about what to do around these issues. And this is really an ongoing discussion that I think we need to have, both for ourselves and others around us. So that's all we have time for today on This Life.